Hi there. Welcome back to the New Era YouTube channel. My name is Paul, and I'll be your host for this session. Today, we're going to be talking about global controls, things that can control at a global level functions like filtering, email delivery, and detectors. We'll be together for probably 15 minutes, a bit of time in a PowerPoint, and then directly into a demonstration of ICEDirect on the web. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you, and I'll go directly to that PowerPoint. Now, if you're looking for this out on YouTube, this would be number 8. There are many ICEDirect YouTubes out there. This happens to be the 8th one in the series. The specifics, my applications that we'll be talking about are my EXT, my DET, and my EXC, all of which relate to global controls. So let me give you a bit of background here. I'm pretty certain by now that you already know that the ICE data space is quite large. It contains inspections, baselines, clusters, control categories, and journals, all created by Image Focus and the control editor. From time to time, it might be necessary for you to change certain characteristics of the information that is recorded in the data space. And in order to do that, we provide filters. So in the case of inspection logs and baselines, we provide filters that allow you to change the severity of the messages that we associate with events that are reported by the various inspectors. So you can change a warning to an error or vice versa. Very flexible, very easy to use. In the case of the control editor, on the other hand, the events are those that are commonly recorded. For example, a heartbeat, which lets you know that the control editor and its journals are up and performing for you in the way in which you expect them to, or email debug messages. Sometimes these things get a little out of hand. There may be more of them than you expected. They may not have the value that you want. And you can filter those as well, and we'll show you exactly how to do that. In addition, there are methods for extracting information from the data space. The two background processes are essentially interval detectors, and as it relates to the control editor, stored queries. These run at specific intervals that you establish and set. And there may be reasons for an administrator to simply want to turn that off. I don't want any more of that for the time being until we get something straightened out, whatever that might be, and we'll show you exactly how to do that and some other controls that are related to detectors at a global level. And then those reports that are created by the interval detectors or through the stored queries are delivered by email. And so from time to time, for whatever reason, you may want to turn off email delivery altogether. And we'll show you how to do that as well. So again, to emphasize this, these are functions that are only available to TCE Prime, that's the head administrator, and TCE administrators, that are people who are appointed by Prime to perform administrative functions. And they are contained within my EXT, my DET, and my EXC. And you can see the panels here that provide these controls. So I'm going to go ahead and end this show now, and we'll go directly to a demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up a browser here, and we'll go ahead and find my starting point. Now, I always recommend that people use ICEDirect as a link within ZOSMF. Um, I know that for many of you that might not necessarily be an option or a desired option, but there are some advantages that relate to security because we will, in essence, inherit the security that's associated with authentication with the ZOSMF system. So if I go ahead and authenticate, And I have autofill turned off here because that's just simply a nuisance and you don't want to get involved in that. So it could be a security problem. You can see that ICEDirect is a link here, just like other links that might be added to the ZOSMF environment. So when I go ahead and click on that, we open up another tab, and now we're displaying the authentication panel that's necessary for you to authenticate again with ZOS, this time via the ICEDirect authentication process. So I'll go ahead and do that. Now there's one more step here, and that's what we refer to as MFI. MFI is multi-factor ICE. This is another form of multi-factor authentication. We have this in place in order to defeat autofill and to defeat robots and other nefarious methods of attempting to try to authenticate with our environment and our system. So you're going to have, in my case, a private PIN, easily created, easily updated. Go ahead and enter that in here. Oh, got to put on cap locks. So just again, for explanation purposes, I have a PIN that's registered in a secure encrypted vault within the integrity controls environment. And using the token generator of the security system, RACF ACF2 top secret, this token material was generated. Now, in order to complete my authentication, I need to put in my PIN and that token material to create, in essence, a dynamic one-time passcode. So I'll go ahead and authenticate. And now we see the ICEDirect primary menu. So the functions that we're interested in are MyEXT. Now, MyEXT controls external notification. And so you can see now that external notification is set to off, but we can turn it on here just by shooting that radio button and updating the global settings. And it's been updated. You can see external notification is now on, but there's additional information in this panel which can be particularly important to administrators. What this lower section is saying, that since we've turned external notification on, you might also want to consider joining the group of people who are notified of a restart of our primary address space. That is, something has interrupted it. It may have been down for a second or for an hour or for a day, whatever the case may be. And when it comes back up again, it will send you an email letting you know it's back in service and telling you for how long it's been down. And that can be important from an auditing perspective to know that, in fact, the server that you're depending on for capturing events in the control journal, for managing the process of background inspections, has been out of service for some reason for some period of time. There are a couple of other things here that we have. We can look at to determine who are the active recipients. That is, who are the people who are currently getting email. Again, these are administrative functions. Patience, as I say, is always a virtue in dealing with a web-based interface of this nature. So be patient. So here we see all of the recipients. So here's a recipient's email address. Here's another one, another one, another one. And we can delete email recipients at this moment. If we say, hey, I don't know why this guy's getting email, we should have gotten rid of him or gotten rid of his email encodings some time ago. We could just click target and it would delete everything. We could delete specific control components that send him specific messages at specific times. So we could delete them individually if we chose to do it. So there's lots of different mechanisms that we can use here to not only turn on and off external notification, but to hone in and refine our actions to specific users, deleting them completely or deleting some component of their activity. I don't have WA email turned on in this particular system, but clicking here would provide you with the status of WA email. It would say, for example, here are all the users who are known in the RACF database to have WA emails and are under the control of RACF. And we honor that in terms of the mail that we send. Clicking on My DET produces another panel. And again, we can decide whether we want to turn things on or off. We'll do that in just a moment. We can make a decision here that we might want to change the default HLQ for the reports that are created by the detectors. We might want to establish an alternative. We don't want to change the existing HLQ, but we just want to establish an alternative. We can change the name of the proc that's actually running the detectors for us. And we can look at the active detectors. And again, this will take just a few seconds to produce. Got quite a number of detectors active at this moment. And you can see them here are all the detector names that are out there running. We can tell when they last ran, who's getting reports from them, how they're set up to run daily, weekly, or monthly. From here, we can delete individual users, we can delete periods, we can do all of the things that are necessary in order to administer specifically to the individual detectors and the users who are receiving reports from them. If I go ahead and click on, then we'll get an indication that interval detectors have now been turned on. So that particular function is now on, and all of the controls that are associated with it are now back in play. But at any point in time, we could also come back and turn them off if that was something we wanted to do. My EXC gives you an opportunity to control 8 specific kinds of events that are recorded in the control journal by default: heartbeats, TCE activation, email notifications, login successes, email debug messages, some background tasks, start and stop of that task, privileged user logins, and PSWD expire notifications. That is, when people's passwords expire, we can send them an email and also record that in the journal itself. And if you want to not have that, you can just simply click this and away you go. So if I didn't want to record privileged logins, these are people who are system administrators who have privileges of one kind or another. We can just update this. And it will come back and it will tell us this is what was recorded in our control structure. So journal excludes of this type, these various codes here tie out with the codes above, HB meaning heartbeat, AC meaning activation, et cetera, et cetera. So those have all been recorded, and now we can move forward. I want to undo that one. And I want to go back and make sure I've got everything set the way I originally had it. Don't want to forget that. Go ahead and turn that off. I'm basically a developer, and so these things tend to become a nuisance for me. Good news for you, but a nuisance for me, so I turn them off. So there we go. Okay, so so essentially that's it. We have other controls here, and they're the subject of other YouTubes that we have available, and I encourage you to spend some time looking at those. as well as the other YouTubes that we have out there. There's some exciting news concerning SAE. SAE 17 is now available from the HMC, and that's really an exciting development. So thanks for coming out and joining me. I hope to see you out here again soon on the New Era YouTube.